Great. So just a little some housekeeping items before we get started. The format for this event will be twofold. So first we'll have a short presentation here with the full group. And then the second half of the event, you all will get a chance to be broken into smaller groups with representatives that serve from our group that serve your districts. We will not be reconvening after the small group discussion. So once your conversation has ended, please feel free to just log out of the meeting. And if you have any questions throughout the event, please feel free to speak up, or you can put questions or comments in the chat and we will monitor. So first I'd like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Bree Steyer. I am with the Iowa Association of Iowa Workforce Partners, and I serve as board support. I have my colleague Emily Harris on here as well. She'll be watching through your questions and running all the technical things that, as you can see, I tend to screw up. So I'll also introduce Jen Erdman. Jen is the Title I Operations Manager in South Central Iowa Local Workforce Area, and she serves as our board chair for AWP. So just a bit about ourselves. The Association of Iowa Workforce Partners has been around since 2001. We're a nonprofit organization of workforce development professionals from across the state. Not only do AWP members work on the ground with your constituents every day, but we also take a vested interest in advocating for state policies that promote high quality and accessible workforce development services here in Iowa. And we are able to meet in these small localized groups because AWP's membership reaches nearly every part of the state. Almost every local workforce area is represented in our makeup. So this gives us a unique opportunity not only to address local workforce issues, but to come together and discuss those larger state trends as well. So in each local workforce development area, there is an Iowa Works one-stop center that provides services to local job seekers, but who can receive these services? And the answer is anyone, basically. No matter a person's situation, there's staff that can address a person's barriers to employment, both big and small. So on this slide, you can see some of the specific job seekers that can be served by your local workforce partners. And this is nowhere near a comprehensive list of the types of job seekers that are served, but it does give you a good idea of the barriers to employment that your workforce partners are prepared to address. Some of those include veterans, previously incarcerated individuals, or individuals currently in corrections facilities, persons with disabilities, out of school or underprivileged youth, English language learners. Your local workforce professionals are prepared to meet job seekers essentially where they're at in this moment. And considering each job seeker's situation is different, workforce partners work side by side with them to develop a career pathway that addresses their specific barriers to employment. So the purpose is not simply to find an individual a job. They can do that themselves. They can go on Indeed.com or Monster and see what's out there, but rather your workforce partners assist these individuals with developing a career they can be proud of, a career that is in high demand, a career that has the potential for growth. And on the other side, your workforce partners work closely with local businesses and industry leaders to develop curriculum, programs, and plans that address the workforce needs of in-demand local industries. So workforce development and economic development are hand in hand. I'm going to share here a video featuring an individual who entered the center after having been laid off from his job. He shares his experiences with comprehensive services offered by his local partners, but these are also offered statewide. So it's a short video. I will take just a second to turn the sound on, and then I will share this with you.
Hi, I'm Matt Nonson. I'm currently a paramedic student here at Iowa Central. In January 2015, I was working at a casino in Jefferson as a food and beverage director. They let me go, and I came to job service to for unemployment, and they hooked me up with Title I Dislocated Worker Program. They talked to me about options about going back to school, and they were going to work with me because I got laid off right before the spring semester. I decided to go into human resources because it's a job that I kind of done at all the restaurants I'd ran before. Got hired on at the hospital as an EMT. Loved what I was doing because I was helping people, and decided to go into the paramedic program. Kelsey, my worker, was excited with me about joining that program. She was very supportive. During that time, I also became a foster parent and went through the foster parenting classes. And that was my motivation for going through the program. My career navigator, Kelsey, has been phenomenal. You know, we meet every week, or we try to meet every week, and she goes over the grades with me and sees if I have any problems. My favorite thing about Iowa Central is kind of the going through the program. My career navigator, Kelsey, kind of the classmates I have now, we're all like a family. I mean, we help each other out, we're supportive for each other. You know, in some colleges or some programs, you don't get that camaraderie and that teamwork. Something I'd tell someone if they want to go back to school is go ahead and do it. It's hard work, but it's great rewards. My greatest achievement would be becoming a foster parent. Next goals in life are I'm going to become probably the best paramedic that I can be. Would like to become a paramedic teacher after a few years. Sitting there so I can help others become great paramedics and help people along the way.
All right, sorry about that little technical difficulty there, guys. But on this next slide, you'll see some of the services that are offered by workforce partners in your area. Once again, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to services, but you'll see that in Matt's video, he was engaged in a number of different programs to help him achieve his ultimate goals. He mentioned the Title I Dislocated Worker Program, job service, the paramedic program through Iowa Central. So workforce professionals from different programs, agencies, and even funding streams all come together in this one-stop system to provide seamless service delivery to the job seekers in your area. And additionally, many come to the Iowa Work Center with multiple barriers to employment. For example, a job seeker who is an English language learner may also need accommodations for disabilities, or a job seeker might need both their HiSET and career counseling later. So the goal is to really provide a one-stop shop for your constituents to address any barriers standing between them and a high-quality career. So looking forward, there are a number of notable trends in Iowa's workforce that your partners are uniquely situated to address. And these are 10-year trends here from IWD's Workforce and the Economy's 2020 report. So looking into the future, industry employment in Iowa is projected to add over 100,000 non-farm jobs in the next 10 years. The jobs being added to Iowa's economy will be 21st century jobs that require those 21st century skills. So industries such as healthcare, business services, information technology, renewable energy expand. The demand for skilled workers also grows. But the great news is that your workforce partners already have developed the curriculum, plans, and pathways to funnel job seekers into these high demand career fields. And we all know that these industry trends differ depending on where you live. While in each local area, program partners are in constant communication with business and industry leaders, local elected officials, and community colleges. And this level of collaboration allows workforce partners to respond to local employment needs as they fluctuate. So they can develop programming, curriculums, trainings, and workshops to make sure that local businesses have a local skilled workforce to employ. Another trend that we are expecting to continue is that minorities and youth continue to experience the highest rates of unemployment, along with workers with limited education or less education. So advancing Iowa's workforce means that we need to include all of these groups. No job seekers should be left behind, nor are they left behind in Iowa Work Centers. WIOA's Title I youth program works with in-school, out-of-school, at-risk youth to get them on track to a high-quality career. In the youth program and all of the WIOA core programs, the rate of non-white enrollment is consistently higher than the state average. So your workforce partners are already actively working to close the employment gaps for both minorities and youth. And also workforce services are empowering for those who never got a chance to continue their education the way they wanted, whether it's working towards a post-secondary credential, job training, skill upgrading. The primary goal of workforce programs is to provide those and act as a ladder to self-sufficiency. So these efforts are working towards addressing that employment gap between workers with less education and those with more education. And it's no secret, we've all been living in this COVID-19 world, that the pandemic's had a significant impact on Iowa's workforce. Unemployment numbers skyrocketed in April, but as you can see, we've been on a steady incline back towards those March 2020 levels. But your workforce partners have been on the front lines, helping Iowans get back to work and also develop the skills to be successful in this post-COVID-19 world. With the onset of COVID, came record-setting amounts of layoffs, and in response, the state allocated dislocated worker grants to local boards, temporarily expanding their capacity to serve those job seekers that were laid off. But what was really unique is that the workforce partners responded in an integrated approach, meeting with the companies laying off their employees, the state, local community colleges, and more to coordinate the service delivery in the most expedient and efficient way possible. So local rapid response teams responded to mass layoffs across the state, providing assistance finding new employment, resume workshops, career counseling, training in a new career, assistance with filing unemployment. And then they really, they had these services available and continue to have these services available for any mass layoffs happening. Additionally, your workforce partners adapted and they provided the tools for others to adapt to a COVID-19 world. By transitioning to virtual service delivery, job seekers were able to access the same services without putting their health or safety at risk. And for those who were unprepared for a sudden transition to a virtual world, your workforce partners were providing and continue to provide basic digital skills training, where job seekers can learn everything from typing to saving a document to sending an email. Because in the not so distant future, digital literacy skills will be considered a baseline necessary skill in any workplace. And COVID-19, if it did anything, it illuminated the realities of that technology literacy gap here in Iowa. So your workforce partners are working day in and day out to provide the services to close that gap and make sure that Iowa's workforce is prepared for those 21st century jobs. Finally, I'd like to share with you AAWP's 2021 legislative priorities. These priorities were developed in direct response to the input from on-the-ground workforce development professionals. So their experience serving your constituents helps inform how state policies can empower Iowa job seekers. So the first of our priorities here is streamlining the talent pipeline to high demand careers by supporting sector partnerships and also empowering sector partnerships to be a voice on industry concerns in the wake of COVID. Sector partnerships quickly are comprised of industry representatives, as well as education, workforce, economic, and community organizations that support that industry. They exist all across the state for all kinds of industries, and together they work to develop and evaluate goals, policies, and strategies to meet the needs of that targeted industry. So for instance, an industry that requires highly technically skilled workers will work to develop curriculum to produce that workforce in their local area. And they're uniquely situated to address the effects of COVID-19 on their respective industries because they're these pre-established hubs of industry knowledge and on-the-ground experience with the needs of both local employers and the local job seekers. So lawmakers looking to address the effects of COVID-19 on Iowa's industries should look at convening the sector partnerships operating in their area and take into consideration their input and suggestions as to how to move their respective industries forward. I will include in the information that we provide after the event an interactive map locating the sector partnerships in your districts so that if you are interested in contacting them and learning more about how COVID has affected their respective industries, you can go ahead and do so. Our next priority is addressing external barriers to service for rural communities. And there's a number of elements here, but workforce development services are really only as effective as the ability for job seekers to access them. So rural Iowans experience some very unique barriers to access, including, but certainly not limited to those included on this slide. The first, however, that we'd like to address is living in areas that have insufficient or no access to high-speed internet. We all depend on broadband every day, but COVID-19 just underscored just how much we rely on this technology. And hardest hit by the transition to a virtual world is rural Iowa. As of April, only about 1/3 of Iowa's counties were located in broadband deserts, where high-speed internet is rarely offered. And even those who aren't in broadband deserts, only about 18.5% of Iowans have access to affordable internet plans, which is well below the average of 50%. So lawmakers can and should support any initiatives by the state to expand broadband access to underserved and unserved areas. Again, in the materials that I distribute after the event, I will include an interactive map that will help you determine where broadband deserts are in your district and the area around you. Another issue rural Iowans are facing is lack of affordable transportation options, including no accessible public transportation. There's more than 30 agencies that operate in Iowa, 16 of them serve the rather large rural regions, but sometimes they're the only option for people in that area to go to work or the grocery store or the doctor's office. The agencies primarily serve older clients and clients with disabilities. So rural transportation's been uniquely hit hard because their clients are high risk. So it's been uniquely hit hard by COVID-19. And Iowa's traditionally served as a model for neighboring states. Our public transportation touches all of our 99 counties, but there's fear without state protection from these temporary rider shortages that this vital resource could become obsolete and leave individuals who are really interested in developing their career or finding a new career or seeking job services from accessing those services. And along the same lines, poor infrastructure conditions, including roads and bridges, contribute to the need for vehicle repair and maintenance. Access to a working vehicle in rural Iowa is sometimes the only available means of transportation. But when the roads are in disrepair and they cause damage to rural Iowans' vehicles, that can prohibit them from accessing work, school, job services, so on and so forth. So participation in the Family Development and Self-Sufficiency Grant, which we cite here, is a voluntary option for families receiving FIP benefits. These grants are able to help assist families with vehicle repair or maintenance, which really allows them the freedom to access workforce services, school, or their jobs. And in fiscal year 2020, 2,268 families received services from this grant program. And most families are referred to the grant program through IWD's Promise Jobs program. And the best part is the Family Development Self-Sufficiency Grant Program, it pays for itself. In fiscal year 20, the families that received this grant earned a total wages of $5,500,000, which resulted in a FIPS savings of over $750,000. So lawmakers that are interested in addressing this barrier to access should really consider expanding both eligibility requirements and funding for FIPS in order to help more Iowans access these grants. Our third priority here is continue investment in and coordinate state and federal funding for computer literacy and basic skills building services provided under WIOA. And I touched on this briefly earlier, that COVID-19 has brought to light the technology literacy gap here in Iowa, with businesses, service providers, stores, schools, everybody going virtual. Those individuals who lack basic digital literacy skills were left behind. So our workforce development partners across the state provide free digital literacy workshops and to continuing education students and job seekers, really aimed at addressing this technology gap. Because the effects of COVID-19 will last well after the virus, and specifically this increased importance of technology in our lives. So getting ahead of the technology gap means supporting basic computer literacy skills and digital literacy programs offered by the state workforce partners. Additional state investment would allow these programs to expand and serve even more job seekers and ensure that Iowa's workforce is prepared for 21st century jobs. Our final priority for this session is expanding the state's capacity to serve youth by investing in local youth work-based learning programs. Work-based learning programs are specifically designed to help students make a meaningful connection between their classroom and potential career options, as well as develop those skills needed to compete in the 21st century workforce environment. So through experience, these experiential learning opportunities with industry or community professionals, participants are able to gain this firsthand experience and in-depth application of these employability skills and the tasks in a given career field. Now, high quality work-based learning will be a key tool in reaching the Future Ready Iowa goal of 70% of the Iowa workforce having an education or training beyond high school by 2025. And the governor has taken a couple steps in this direction. In July 2019, Governor Reynolds launched the Iowa Clearinghouse for Work-Based Learning, which is a virtual space where classes and businesses can browse and enter themselves as an interested party for a certain work-based learning project. So she understands, and our state leadership understands the immense value of work-based learning programs. So lawmakers should continue to support the governor's initiatives and prioritize work-based learning across the state. So shortly here, I will be breaking you all into small rooms with those lawmakers that are here. I understand that you guys are still in recess, I believe. So if you need to leave, let us know, and we can reschedule a small group time with you at a better time. But I will go ahead and Emily, I'll have you break out these groups. And like I said, we will not be reconvening after the discussions are finished. So once you have finished your discussion, please feel free to go ahead and sign off. And I will say now, thank you from AIWP. And I hope that these more localized discussions can really help illuminate some of the local trends in your area. So with that being